What's up, guys? Andres here from the Strong Family Money Show. Thanks for stopping by. In this episode, I'm going to give you my opinion on a Wall Street Journal article that I read regarding what's on the horizon for next year. So, this article is dated. I'll put a link in the description. If there's no linkable text allowed on whatever site you're on, you can find me on some other social media site, and you can click there to read the full article. But it was dated 10/30, October 30th of 2020, from the Wall Street Journal. I'm a subscriber, so apologies if the link is subscription only, but I'll put the link there regardless. So it's about how households are boosting spending. It says households boost spending for the fifth straight month. It rose 1.4% last month, the month of October, after taking a sharp decline in August. Most of that spending was on clothes and footwear and cars, so just consumer goods. So service spending also rose. They said about 1.1% last month. So everyone's spending money, right? And so the article goes on to explain how great everything is, how the economy is coming back, how everyone's stronger, right? This pandemic's going on, but people are still trying to get the economy going. And then at the end of the article, it's the clincher. They say, this also corresponds with the fact that there's the rent forbearance in effect right now. So everyone, people are getting the stimulus checks. If you're at some point you were on unemployment, you were getting unemployment plus the extra unemployment from the federal government, and your rent. If you're a renter, even if you have a mortgage, they weren't allowed to foreclose on your property. So, what's the real story? So, everything looks great, and in the short term, I'm sure everything's going to be fine, right? Unfortunately, I don't think people understand is that your rent is not, forgiven, right? Your mortgage is not your loans are not forgiven. They're just on pause right now. Right? So eventually, when that is lifted, and I'm sure, in my opinion, they'll probably go after like a negotiation or payments, or will restructure your loan to collect that money that we haven't collected from you. But at some point, the bill's going to come due. And this is an issue when people have short-term thinking. Right? They're thinking about what's happening right now. Right now, they think everything's great. Everything's great, quote unquote. I don't have to pay off my debt. No one can foreclose on my property. I can't get kicked out. And at the same time, I'm getting this extra money if I am on unemployment. Some people were getting more money than they were getting when they were employed by an employer. People are getting stimulus checks, so they don't have to pay this, and they're getting all this extra money. So what people are doing is and I completely understand that that's what the stimulus checks were for. I completely understand that that's what they were for, to stimulate the economy, to get that money that you are not going to spend because you don't have it, and what you're doing is keeping people employed that are in industries that require people to go and give them that kind of money. But the thinking is pretty short term, right? They're not thinking into the future, right? What they should have done, what my family did, was you take that stimulus money, right? And you don't live. Well, you can have two things, right? You either don't live outside your means, so you spend as you would spend regularly. So if in regular times with your regular employment, you don't go out to eat, 5, 6, 7 times a week. You don't go buy new sneakers every weekend. You don't go out and buy a TV. Then you probably shouldn't do that during these times, just because you have, one thing not being collected and you're getting money from someplace else. You probably shouldn't do that, right? Next level, which is probably what we should have done, is you take that money that you're given and you put it away, right? You save it, which is probably not what they wanted you to do with it, but bear with me. So eventually all these bills are going to come due. And it's great that you have a new TV and you have new sneakers and you went out to eat, and you can say you were supporting local economy by going out to eat. Great. What are you going to pay your bills with when they come due, right? They're not just going to forget. People just don't forget about it. And the government can't just say, no, you can't collect your money. What they're saying is, right now you can't kick them out because they're not paying, but that doesn't mean that you're not forgiving the loan, right? They're just putting it on pause so that later on they can collect it. And I'm certain most definitely they're going to try and collect whatever's in arrears. So what people should have done, so that the economy is kind of not reflecting what's really going on, right? All this consumer spending, all these increases in, the service industry. People are spending money in the service industry. It's because they're taking money from Peter to pay Paul, right? That money that they're spending on this, you're basically buying things. The things that they're buying, they would have spent that money on their rent or their mortgage or their loans. And right now they don't have to do that. So people are spending it on other things when they should be looking into the future. What they probably should have done is save this money to put themselves in a better position for later on. In a different video, I'll discuss my opinion on what they should have done with their time, what people should do with their time in general. But when the bill comes due, and they don't have money in their bank to pay, when they could have had money in their bank to pay, it's not going to be good for everybody, because there's not like only a handful of people doing this. It's a lot of people doing this, and it's going to be a total opposite of what's going on right now. Everything looking rosy, and it could be that there's a lot of negative news going on right now, and they wanted to find some positive news to write about, but the bill's going to come due, and they're not going to have any money. So the point is, do not be short-sighted. Do not be, think of the future. Think of what you can do with a windfall. And to some people who were employed, and got this money, got the stimulus money from the government. It was, a pretty good chunk of money. You probably should have saved it. People who were unemployed but making more than they were when they were working, plus got the stimulus and got forgiveness on their rent or mortgage, you probably should have saved it, right? You want to play for the long game. You want to use tools that are given to you to your advantage, and you don't want to think of how you're going to feel today. You want to know how you're going to feel. You want to work on how you're going to feel later on. And having a big chunk of money in the bank and not being worried, because you're going to be worried at some point, right? You're not worried now that you're not going to be able to pay your rent. You're going to have to worry about it later when you really have to pay your rent. You don't have any money to do it. So don't be short-sighted, everybody. Think of the future. Plan, save, invest. It's a long game. It's pretty cliche, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's totally true. It's really the person who makes it to the end of the race, usually wins, not the person that, starts off strong but peters out towards the end. You don't want to be that person. But anyway, if you can start saving now, I would suggest that you do so. Let me know what you think. I could be totally off base with this, but I think I'm hit the nail on the head. Anyway, this is Andres from the Strong Family Money Show. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you guys next time.